Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Write or Die Show. I'm your host, Randi-lee. On the show, we interview other writers and we talk about mental health from their personal journeys. If you have not already hit that like and subscribe button, go ahead, do that now so that you never miss an episode. Welcome. So today we have a very fun guest. We've already had a bunch of laughs. So let's welcome Maccabee to the show. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, we're gonna have fun. So first, tell me about who the heck you are.
Oh, that's a very good question. Well, I am a very disturbed person. I stand in a padded room, talk to myself, and I get paid for it. So, yeah. No.
I wish. See, I've padded my room, and I talk to myself. I just haven't got that whole being paid for part down yet.
We'll talk later, darling. We'll talk later. Give me some pointers, okay? My name is Maccabee Griffin. If you haven't noticed yet, I'm a voice actor. I am a podcast host of Beyond the Pen, and I am a character creator and developer for authors, creatives, and anybody who just loves being a storyteller. As you can tell, I'm a veteran of the U.S. Army, 9.5 years. And I am a husband and father of 2 children that are on the spectrum.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, I get a lot of secrets, darling. A lot of secrets.
So, oh my goodness. Okay, so total side note. I'm gonna be starting a new show, probably another month or 2 because I just launched another new show. But anyways, and it's going to be called Our Neurodiverse World.
Ooh.
I know. So you'll have to come back on that show and then talk about being a parent of kids on the spectrum, because I'm a parent of a kid on the spectrum and I wrote a book about it.
Me and we're gonna talk about that later too.
Yeah,
Definitely gonna talk. Yeah. And you're gonna love my co-host because she's actually neurodivergent and she has 2 children on the spectrum as well. Yeah.
Last year, I finally got diagnosed, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, my whole life makes sense."
Sweetie, I don't even need to be diagnosed. I already know what's wrong with me.
Yeah. Well, it's a bit of a funny story, actually. So I came out of the bedroom into the living room. My kid is sitting there watching TV, and he looks at me, and I say coming out the bedroom. So I came out the bedroom, dancing and talking and being all of my weird that I am. And he goes, "Mom, if I have autism, I got it from you." And I stopped and I was like, huh. Every time somebody was like, "Oh, your kid does this, your kid does that," I'm like, "Oh, he's just like his mom. No big deal. He's just like his mom." And I'm like, "Wait, he is just like his mom." That makes sense. So yeah, very fun. Excellent. So yeah, we will circle back to that later. But so welcome again, of course, to the show. And I don't know what's going on your end, but that was funny.
My youngest has actually come in here. Dude, I'm in the middle of something.
I'm sorry. Hi.
Here, come here then.
Come say hi.
He's coming on this side. Come here.
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good.
I heard you're super tall.
Why?
He's like to say yes.
You're tall.
Yes.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks for coming and saying hi.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Go away now. Go shoot. Go.
I love you now. Bye-bye.
Okay, love you. Bye-bye.
All right. So
Boys, this is why I'm in my closet 90% of the time.
That's why I finally have a room to myself. Not that it stops my kid from just opening the door and coming in.
Exactly. See, there you go. I forgot to put him in his cage earlier, so sorry. Note to self, everybody, that's sarcasm. I don't put my kids in the cages. They put me in the cage. There's a difference, okay?
That's true. That's very true. I like that. And in this day and age, it's really sad, but you do have to specify that as being sad.
Yeah, I know. It's sad. Anyways.
So let's switch gears. Let's talk about mental health.
I thought we were already doing that.
Well, in a way, but we're gonna dig a little deeper.
Okay.
So you start your story wherever it makes the most sense for you.
Sweetie, my life doesn't make sense one bit. Mental health wise, oh Lord. I think my favorite mental health story was that when I was 19 years old, I was trying to get into the Air Force. And I did the whole thing, went to the MEPS, did everything was fine. I said one little thing and they sent me to a psych. So I went to psych. No ask. Went to psych, had the conversation, went home. Not even a day or so goes by. Recruiter calls me and says, "Hey, we need to have a conversation." Okay, fine. I go in and he says, "I cannot recruit you into the Air Force." I'm like, "Why?" And these were his exact words. They say that you are, quote, legally insane with multiple personalities. And without a missing a beat, I go, "And I'm an actor. Where do you think I get my characters from?" He didn't like that answer.
Ooh, that's fun. That's a great thing to say to somebody. Huh.
Well, he's not wrong. I'm very special. I just have to have representatives for all the voices in my head. Okay, let's do it.
But that's not a very nice thing to say to somebody, first off. And second off, he's a recruiter. He's not a doctor.
Well, but he's the doctor, yeah.
Right. And third off, I mean, did they offer you any help then? Like, they're just like,
no. Yeah, they're pretty much just peace out.
Oh, you're cray peace.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
All right. So where did you go from there? How did you feel after they told you that?
I was a little pissed, but then I was like, it's okay. I'll just go back to school. I'll just go to school. Okay. So I went to Vincent's University. Was going into nursing. That didn't go well for me because I couldn't stay awake in the classes. Yeah, especially when it came to the drug part, pharmaceutical medicine. So I went into theater, and I've gotten a degree in theatrical production. I was one credit shy after graduation. They never told me. So I had to do a few other things to finally get that one credit. And I still haven't gotten my diploma. I still haven't received my diploma from them.
And how long ago was
that? 20 years ago.
Huh.
Yeah. But, it is what.
So are you sure you really got it?
If not, then I've been lying to thousands of people about it. So, but I went to the Army, as you can tell, served as a supply sergeant, unit supply clerk, then supply sergeant, an armorer, which is even more hilarious that the Army said after 5 years, sorry about that, after 5 years, they're like, you know what? You're not that crazy. You can hold down a job. People will say you're good. We'll take you. We'll bring you.
So the Air Force was like, "You're cray," and the Army's like, "Uh-oh, we need people." Yeah, you're not bad.
And we're going to put you with the armory. We're not only going to allow you to have a weapon, we're also going to allow you to actually take care of the weapons and be responsible for over I think through my 9.5 years, I was responsible for, I think when I added it all together, it was like $11.5 million worth of equipment. So,
Wow, that's a lot.
yeah.
Huh. Did you have to like redo your psych eval when you joined?
Nope.
So it wasn't good enough for the one, but it was okay. I'm not even gonna go there.
The Army, what do you
Anyways.
expect? We're all crazy. Have you not seen a soldier? Have you not seen a Marine? Come on now. We're a little.
Goodness. Huh. So before we move on to other questions, I want to say something to the audience. Because I mean, you've heard me say it before, and Mac is like accepting all of what he is, which is fantastic. But I know, and I've seen on social media, because everybody has to share their opinion, whether or not anybody wants to hear it. Anyways, about how using the word crazy, or how I like to say it, cray-cray, and I like to say it that way because it bothers my kid,
Perfect.
or right, or as you just went, some people don't like that, and that's fine. They don't have to like it. But what I want to point out is that some of us use that as an endearment to ourselves.
Yeah.
I am okay. I love saying I accept all of the crazy that I am. Because you know what? I don't want to be boring. So
No.
I'm not using it in a derogatory term or in a mean term, but that is something that I use for myself. And I love it. And if other people want to use it for themselves, like Mac is, then by all means do it. So I just wanted to point that out only because I've seen a lot of that coming up on social media about how, oh, don't use crazy. It's so mean to people who have mental health and da da da. Some of us with mental health, and my best friend is the same way. Some of us with mental health, we like saying that. We are okay with it. And I guess the woke way of saying that is we're taking the term back. So
we are. What are you doing, child?
Can you please?
No. Go talk to your brother.
Excuse me.
So yeah, I just want everybody to realize that everyone is different with how they want to express themselves or how they are coping or dealing with their mental health. And if they want to use those terms, then by all means let them, respect it. But of course, be conscious that you don't say that to other people. Like I wouldn't go to somebody else to be like, oh, you're crazy, because then I'm using it in a derogatory term. So it can be a little confusing at times. It's changing. Our world is always constantly changing. Terms are constantly evolving. The way people view themselves or what they are experiencing is always changing. So I just wanted to make sure that everybody knows that. So now that we've stated that it's totally okay to say that if you are referring to yourself and you're okay with it, let's continue with your story. So you were in the Army. What did you experience while you were there? Like how did that kind of go from being an actor to being in the Army, and then obviously back to being an actor?
Well, for one thing, I would definitely say that one of the things that I've definitely had to deal with, obviously, is deployments. My first deployment was 15 months. My second one was 12 months. I've been blown up a few times. So
nonchalant, I've been blown up.
Again, it's the world. Honey, sweetie, I am a walking chaotic vessel. Okay, I am walking chaos in a vessel here. Okay,
I love it.
This is just normal to me anymore. And most of us that are vets too will pretty much say the same thing. It's something that we don't talk about a lot, which is something I think they do need to talk about. But what you see on TV is not even close to what it is in reality.
Okay.
Yes, the chaos in general. Yes, that is true. But it doesn't matter if you are, 18 years old, just coming in. Here's a gun, try to defend yourself, or you're somebody that's been in the army for 20 plus years, going through the same thing. The only difference is that your mental state's a little bit more charred when you're older.
Oh,
so
yeah.
you can deal with it a little bit more. It's been burnt, cooled so many times. You just have multiple layers. So that's why it's just basically nonchalant for me anymore. Plus, for me, it's also dealing with the other stuff that comes with it. So for me, I have what's called psychogenic non-epileptic seizures, or PNES. Penis. I am a male. I have a penis. Why I get the one that has the dumbest acronym, I don't know. But that's how I make fun of it, because if I don't take control of it, it's going to take control of me. So basically what that means is that when my mind finds itself in a stressful situation, I'll either have spasms, I cannot speak, or I cannot see. And the seeing part is basically my eyelids just blink so much that it's just easier to keep them closed.
Wow.
I've had my body basically try to break my own neck. I've had there's a lot of things. I've had it when it first started. My knee decided it wanted to try to join my face for like 45 minutes straight.
Ouch.
Yeah, it's fun.
So when did that start? While you were in the army or after?
It was in 2014 is when it first started. And I got medically retired in 2015.
Makes sense.
I've also had 2 hip surgeries too, so it didn't help out either.
No, it wouldn't.
No, trust me, with any military personnel, there's so many injuries to us that many of them we don't even know we had. I know 3 guys that broke their necks and didn't know, and just went on not just doing day-to-day stuff, putting gear on, just having headaches.
Wow.
We're a different breed of what the hell is going on.
You wouldn't imagine that somebody who has a broken neck would be able to do that stuff.
It's very easily it's very plausible. I had one that had, as long as it, depending on where it's broken.
Obviously. Yeah. And there's a lot of bones. We have a lot of vertebrae and all that. So yeah.
So there's a lot of things that have happened. And that's why we are the way we are. That's why every military personnel is fine with the word crazy, because we invented it. The other aspect is that insanity is something that, obviously the definition of insanity is just continually do the same thing and waiting for a different outcome. In our sense, insanity is just getting up in the morning and figuring out what the hell's going on, and how we can go through it without killing people, basically. Yeah. And for those that don't get it, that's dark humor. Get over it. I'm one of those type of people. Like, I was having a conversation with another vet yesterday over lunch, and we were just going over all of the little things that make us so disturbed that a normal civilian would just look at us like, y'all just need to go. You need to be put into mental health asylums and just be left there. No.
Oh dear.
If that was the case, then 90% of the population would be like,
y'all.
We're just gonna have to Killing you. Son of a monkey's wrench. Really? I got coffee on my shirt. Son of
a... See, you just don't drink coffee, you don't have that problem.
True. We bathe in this stuff. This is the only reason why I'm this color is because of my coffee.
You just, you know.
Bathe in the stuff. I used to be white at one point, so.
That's funny. Okay, so after the Army, so 2015, and then where did you go from there?
I went to school. I went to Indiana University for a year.
Okay.
And then during that time, because of the penis, I couldn't concentrate. It was just so big. It was just taking over my life. My wife was having our second child, the one that you just saw, the monster of a child. For all those who didn't see, my son is 6 years old, but he's also 4'2" as well. We were getting a new house, so it meant I had to drop out because I wasn't making any money. Besides, my pension wasn't covering enough. And then I went to work at a naval base for about a year. During that time, I had met a gentleman that introduced me to Dungeons and Dragons. Now, again, I've known Dungeons and Dragons since the 80s. I grew up in the 80s. But I'd never played it. I'd never seen it actually played.
Really? Me and my brother used to play it when I was younger. He was always the dungeon master, probably because he was 3 or 4 years older than me and had a better grasp on how to do that.
Grammar,
you know. Right. No. There's a door, Randy. You need to open the door. What? Oh, okay. Let's open. Well, when you're playing with a 6-year-old, come on, you got to kind of guide him a little bit.
Fireball. There's a door. Fireball.
Oh my goodness. Okay, totally side note here. I saw a TikTok today, and they were in their cosplay thing for Dungeons and Dragons, and the girl was like, "I have a plan," and the guy was like, "Don't tell me it's Fireball." No, but it's Fireball. And he goes, "Okay, but last time you used Fireball, you also burnt down the whole village." Oh, I don't have a plan.
I think my favorite one, because again, just like you on TikTok this morning, just for the heck of it, and a gentleman was answering a question: why are so many vets involved in Dungeons and Dragons or any RPG? We're like, well, the main reason is because we're allowed to do things we used to do again, and it be legal.
Yeah, it's got to be very different coming back from deployment, coming back into society here.
Yeah. There's a lot of transition time that you really need. I remember, because of the fact that I was a driver, and again, I'm almost blown up multiple times. I remember my first time getting back in a car, an actual vehicle, instead of a Humvee or a 5-ton vehicle that was up armored and had weapons attached to it. I had my car, and I remember going down the highway, and I remember driving in the middle of the road for quite a while, and especially when there was trash on the side, I would just ride on the side, in the middle. And thankfully, it was an actual 3-lane car, 3-lane road. But even when it was on 2, there was many times where I had to do that, and many of us did the same thing. And they, even today, most people still do it every once in a while. And I remember one of my buddies was doing the same thing, and he got pulled over by a cop. And thankfully, because we lived in Hawaii, he was in uniform. The officer basically said, "So, how long you been back from deployment?" Lieutenant, like, "I got back yesterday." It's like, "Yeah, I thought so. Try to keep it to the right. There's no bombs. You're good to go. Just have a nice day and just be careful."
Yeah.
And that's pretty much what the routine was, because again, we have to understand, even it took me a long time to even be able to go into crowds, because my brain always thought that there was at least somebody there that possibly had an IED on them.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I wasn't within that situation with it as an infantryman, I still had that mentality because I ran with Cav Scouts. I was with a Cav unit, infantry guys.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the training that we were given multiple times. So when you got people coming in and out and you're on guard duty and you got people trying to kill you multiple times, it's really difficult to transition back into civilian life and not have certain things, certain quirks come with you. Not quartz, that's a rock. So yeah, there's a lot of different things that come with being a vet, especially a vet who's been on multiple deployments. I know guys that have been on 8 deployments before.
Oh wow, yeah, that would be very difficult. Your brain would have to constantly be switching between the two, basically lives. Like,
pretty much, yeah. It's basically like having multiple personalities, multiple lives, multiple personalities, because you cannot act a certain way with your family and friends comparative to military life. When a soldier messes up, you can yell all you want. You can put them in the front lane and rest and have them push till dawn if you want to. They do something stupid, you can exercise the hell out of them. They don't have anything. They got to do it. You can't do that at home. And there's multiple times where, unfortunately, that's just the way it was for me in my head. I would try, and something I still struggle with today, is that I try not to be a controlling person. And I was actually pointed out by my little sister, because she's actually moved in with us. She said, your personality, because of the fact that you were in the military, is very controlling. You may not think of it as that, but it is, because when you tell somebody to do something, you're expecting them to do it then and there or within a reasonable amount of time. And I was just like, no, that was prior to the military. That's just life. Somebody tells you to do something, you just do it. But unfortunately, the mentality of the next generation, your Z's, your whatever else is after that, that's not the same mentality.
Yeah.
And it's because we saw it as a Gen X that it's a little bit different in the way that we presented it, because sometimes it got to a darker side when it came to the controlling. Other times we thought it as just respect. As a child, you don't have a job. You don't you don't pay the bills.
Yeah.
Majority of people, majority of kids don't have to deal with that crap.
Yes.
So the basis of it is that you did chores when told to do your chores, you did your homework, and you did what you were supposed to do because that was your responsibility. It taught you how to be someone who could do the jobs, get them done, and then obviously still be able to educate yourself as well. So there was a certain vibe, a certain mentality that was pushed onto Gen X. And we tried to present that to our kids. Fortunately, there are many Gen X people that didn't like that, so they've changed the way they teach our kids, or they present it in social media, and then aka the woke happened, the woke generation. But
yeah, that's a whole other conversation.
Yeah, it's a whole different conversation. But that being said, all of that, went to Naval Base, worked there for a year, got laid off, was laid off for 4 months, and then I worked at a pharmaceutical company for 3 years. During that time, I went into just found people that were really inspiring me to do voiceover. I did theater, I grew up in the theater, went to college for theater. So thought might as well do it again. So that's what I did. While I was doing full-time job at a pharmaceutical company, I was also doing part-time voiceover, getting my portfolio filled. I was doing out of it like 1,000 jobs, or 1,000 auditions. I got 10 of them, and 7 of them were for free for my first year.
Okay.
So there was a lot of no's involved in that.
I believe it, yeah.
After I got laid off because of the COVID, my wife, thankfully, thank God of that, was finishing up with school for radiation therapy. And
cool.
We moved up to the Indianapolis area, and I've been doing that plus full-time dad as well at the same time. So
that's awesome. And so how is the PNES going with all of that?
The PNES is on and off still. Some months it's more frequent than others. But the great thing is that if I have something happening, if I need to take like an hour or two worth of a nap to reset my brain, then I'm able to do that now instead of being at work and all of a sudden just being paralyzed for however long my brain decides not to want to move, not allowing me to move my legs, my body, my mouth, my eyes, nothing. Because I've had complete paralysis, and I think the longest it lasted was like 45 minutes.
Oh my goodness, that would make working pretty difficult.
Yeah, especially in a clean room, so you kind of can't do anything.
Yeah.
So thankfully, I wasn't. I was at a laptop at that time. So
okay, well that's good. That's good.
Yeah, but people didn't like it. They were like, "No, you need to get out of there, and until we see that you can actually work, don't come in."
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that bosses don't tend to like that kind of thing. So how is it, because you said it was stress related,
Yes.
it comes on from that. So and stress often brings on depression, anxiety, lots of things. And so side note, I do a lot of side notes. So I went to the rheumatologist last week and ruled out a bunch of stuff, and she goes, so I think we're left with fibromyalgia. I'm like, okay. And she goes, so there's not really any medication that you can take for it right now. I'm like, oh, great. So I'll just be in pain all the time. But then she goes, so just, healthy lifestyle. I'm like, okay, check. Dude, go physio, check. Exercise, check. Reduce your stress. I'm not sure how I'm supposed to do that. So it's definitely less stressful now than it was previously when I was an employment counselor. So I totally get, going into a different career can make a big difference. So that's helpful if anybody has the opportunity to do that it can be quite stress relieving. My kid is quite a bit older now and on the right medication, so that in and of itself is stress relieving. But overall, I mean, how do we reduce stress? Like, please, what are your tips? What works for you sometimes?
Sleeping.
Naps are my best friend.
Yeah, because that's the only time I'm not stressed. Have you seen my life? No, with all joking aside, being a parent of a neurodivergent child, let alone 2, it's not the easiest life. In fact, it's not easy.
I am shocked and surprised. The shock and surprise that I am experiencing is immense. Wow, I am so impressed.
Shush. But you know the life.
I totally do. I totally get it. I mean, we were in and out the hospital for years and treatment places and try this med and try that med and go to this school and that school. Like it's a lot. It is a lot.
It's expensive too. It's extremely expensive too, because a lot of the therapies that our children need aren't covered by insurance.
Yeah. So I'm in Canada. Not that it's much better. It's not much better. It's not. But I think that we have a little bit more funding. I'm just gonna say it as that. It still is not very much, and the problem for us here then is it leads to very long wait lists.
Yes, absolutely, and it's the same here as well in the States. Is that even if your child needs the therapies as bad as anything else, wait lists can last anywhere from a year to 2 years to 3 years.
Yeah.
And on many occasions, we've been lucky that we've called just in time that somebody was leaving or we could come in.
Oh, that's good. My kid just went even more batshit crazy and jumped lines because of need. Like, really crazy.
Yeah, but again, there's definitely good reasons why that is.
Yeah.
But it's very sad that, like, for example, my nephew and my niece are also on the spectrum as well. One is severe. She is very severe. She's nonverbal. She's very sensitive to pretty much everything and anything, and the only people that she will allow to actually hold her are her mom, barely her dad, and me. And that's
you're
it.
Special.
Oh, I am very special to that little girl. That's the funny thing. The only reason why is because I'm bald and I have a beard. That is the only.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, she loves playing with my beard, and like touching my bald head.
Yeah.
But also it's the fact that I've also worked my way to get into that little girl's heart too.
Oh, it takes time. Yeah.
It takes a lot of time. My nephew is also, he's not as severe, thankfully he's not as severe as his sister, but even still, their income does not allow them to get a lot of the help they need because Medicare and Medicaid do not cover those therapies.
Mm-hmm.
So they have to figure out certain ways of getting them the need that they can, or the help they need. And sometimes it's very difficult.
Yeah.
Thankfully, there's certain things that we can do, but that's how it is in the States with lots of people. That's why back in the day, if your children were on the spectrum or mentally handicapped, any special needs, they were thrown in asylums.
Yeah.
That's it. And you took care of them that way. You paid the bill for them to be in the asylums.
Mm-hmm.
And you didn't talk about them because of the fact that they were considered a shame upon the family.
Yeah.
Or it was too stressful.
Yeah. Which we know now, they're definitely not a shame. They can be so amazing. But the stressful part, that doesn't change. It's definitely a lot of stress. So yeah, that one's really a hard one to manage, especially if they're in a meltdown or something has triggered them and you're like, I want to help you, but I don't know how. And so there can be times that you're just completely lost as a parent. I've definitely been there lots of time.
Yeah.
And so that would be very high stress.
It is. But it is also, like you say, it can be very fun as well.
Oh,
because they see the world in a different light.
Mm-hmm.
They see it in more of an innocent way comparative to what it really is. Mm-hmm. They see the good in the world, which is great. I remember my son, my oldest, he was just about to have, I think we were like 2.5 weeks away from his birthday. And he always gets money from his grandparents and everything. And he saw that this family that was nearby was putting on making their house into a haunted house.
Oh.
And they go all out. The main reason why was because even though they had, a good income, they still didn't have enough of income to get the insurance cover for their daughter's brain surgery because half her brain is gone.
Wow.
Yeah. So they had to do a lot of things that was gone with that's there. And he heard the news story, and we were just like, oh, what would you think about going there and just having fun? And he looked at it and he's like, Mom, Dad, would it be okay if I gave them all my money from my grandparents for my birthday or whatever you guys were going to give me?
Mm-hmm.
And we just looked at him and was like, why? It was like, well, they need it more than I do.
Oh, that's so sweet.
I was like, you know what? You just made me the proudest dad in the world. Yes, we really did.
Mm-hmm.
And when they found out what we were doing, they allowed it because they could tell that he was on the spectrum too. Plus, he loves horror films. He loves everything horror, which scares. Yeah, I blame his mom. I blame his mom. But they allowed him to go through there so many times. Even showed him some of the behind the scenes things.
Oh, that's so cool.
But yeah, it was. But those are the little things that they do. Plus, they're very blunt too. So when I'm working on a character voice, I know that if they like it, my wife likes it. If they like it first, it's good. If my wife likes it, it's great. So then I can just put it out there and everybody will love it. But I remember doing one of my voices for a character I created a long time ago. His name is Lamont. He's a little goblin. And so I went like this to him. I was like, so why does this sound? Does this sound good? And he just looked at me and goes, no, Dad, that's I was like, what's wrong with it? He goes, well, what if you lower it? I'm like, okay. So you want me to sound more like this? He's like, yeah, that works. He's like, okay. So, like, what? That works. Can I get back to what I'm doing? Like, thanks, son. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
But again, I also know that he wasn't being. Most people would consider that rude or just being mean. It's like, no, that's his personality.
Yeah. It's like straight to the point.
Exactly. It's like there's no sugarcoating.
Yeah, we don't need to beat around the bush, sugarcoat. We don't need none of that.
There's no beating around the bush. My son literally cuts down the bush and looks and says, "There, work with it." So,
I like that.
But that's the personality that they have.
Yeah. So I mean, when the not so fabulous times come up, when the stressful times come up, what do you do? What is a coping strategy?
Taking time out, getting away from everybody. One of the things that me and my wife over the 19 years we've been together is that we tag team. So even though she's at work and she has stress there, when she comes home, if she notices that I need a break, which is majority of the time, unfortunately, she will be happy to allow me to go take a nap for a couple hours. Once I'm done with that, I'll come back or I'll relax and come back and we'll be good. Yeah. So having a partner there to support you helps immensely, because for those who can't do that, they're under so much stress. Like I said, when I was jokingly stating a walking chaotic vessel.
Yep.
They're not a vessel, they're the entire factory. So we have to understand when people are stressed out like crazy, we don't know their stories.
Yeah.
So you just have to treat them with as much respect as possible. They may be having the worst day of their life. How many times have we seen people do dumb things and get caught by the police or something to that effect? That was their worst day that they're showing you. Yeah. So yeah, there's a lot of things that when dealing with this, if I stare into the void of my existence, my wife will look like go lay down, and I'll just be there for like 3 minutes going like this, blue screen, Ding, 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 ding. What? The fact is that I have somebody that I can rely on as much as she is on me. So, but that's my coping skills right there. It's just getting the thing as much as possible.
Yeah, that is a fabulous one. I use that. Lots of naps.
Lots of naps. Writing is a good one.
Writing is a good one.
Writing is a very good one because it allows me to go into a totally different world of an existence, and allows me to create fictional characters, fictional worlds, events, and everything else that allows me to escape to them, or at least gives my mind time to just create something else and not think about what's going on.
Mm-hmm. So speaking of writing,
this is called Write or Die. So
right. So what have you written? Now we know that you are not an author, and that is a big misconception. I've had lots of emails. Well, I've never written a book, but I do this and that. And I'm like, okay, well, I didn't say you had to be an author. You had to be a writer. So, musicians who write their own songs. Screenwriters, like I have had a screenwriter come on the show before and stuff like that. So if you are listening to the show and you're like, oh, it'd be so much fun to be on the show, but I've never written a book. Have you written something?
I have. In fact, I've got, oh good Lord, I got so many things going on right now. It's not funny. When I say that I'm a character creator and developer for authors and creatives alike, I mean that. So the thing is, for me, it is not from a literary point of view. And I always tell everybody that comes to me, hey, if you're looking for a writing coach or book coach that is going to tell you your grammar is wrong, or you need to change this up, or all these phases of this. No, that's not me. I come from an actor's point of view. Mm-hmm. I look at the psychology, the emotions, the interactions, the reactions, not only internally, externally. From your family, your friends, and stuff like that. I also look at what the world does to that character as well. How does it connect to that? So right now I've written, I think right now I'm on my 54th backstory right now.
All right.
Out of the 254 that I already have.
Wow.
Well, here's the thing with the characters I have. If you look at all the characters I've written up, technically I've only written up 18, give or take.
Okay.
But when I talk to you about the personality traits, if you change one personality trait of that character,
you change the whole thing.
Yeah, exactly. Strength or weakness. Again, change your whole thing, like you just said. So I have variations to those characters. I have multiple variants. That's why I have 240 or 254 different backstories that I'm working on right now.
That makes sense.
It does now, yeah. So I think right now the one that I'm revamping right now, besides my own, because I'm writing a story about a colleague of mine, I should say a mentor, Mark W. Travis, who is not only a great actor and a director in Hollywood, he's also a great educator. He has something out on the internet that he did for one of his seminars. And he's actually got a seminar coming up next month, or this month. I think it's on the 21st, 22nd, and 23rd, I think it is. He has a thing out there called Raiders of the Lost Art of Interrogation. And basically it means, and this is great for any writer, it doesn't matter if you're an actor or not, because the characters live in us. So the way that he does it is that he has a way of bringing that character out of you. So instead of talking to the author or talking to the actor, we're talking directly to the character. We're learning everything about the character in us. And like I said, his name is Mark W. Travis. You can go on YouTube, you can find it there. He's happily giving out all this stuff.
Yeah.
But he's got a seminar coming up called, oh my gosh, what is it called? Oh crap, my brain freaking went on.
Brain fart.
Right. Oh yeah, huge brain fart. I'm actually, thankfully, I'm on my iPad, so it helps me out. I can actually get to it. It's actually, I know, it's great, isn't it? It is actually called Socrates on Steroids. That's what it was. Socrates on Steroids. If you go to their website, which is, I just had it, I just dumped it out again, which is TIFI, TIFI, .us. You can actually put that in, or just type in Mark W. Travis and it'll go up to his website. But he is helping me to actually revamp a lot of my characters. Even though, like I said, I can see them, I can work with them and everything. It's another way of just revamping them. So right now, besides my personal one, sorry, the long story, I'm writing my story, my autobiography, called Not Tan Enough, because I am biracial and I grew up with hillbillies, rednecks, so I was never considered really black.
Okay.
Because I didn't wear the clothes, I didn't talk the talk, basically what they saw in the movies and what society black person is. So I had to deal with a lot of that stuff, but I'm not white enough either. So being biracial has its very interesting aspects to life. Writing that story right now, or at least trying to, in the outlines. But I'm also working on a couple of characters right now again. I've got one, her name is Fiona. She is a changeling who is writing a diary so that she can remember who she is, even though she has all these personas.
Yeah.
She finally has at least something she can go back to and say, yes, this is who I am. I remember who I am. I'm also working on Mari's backstory, who is a fantasy as well. She basically consider like the story of Noah, just in a smaller form.
Okay.
A little bit of fantasy lore to attach to it. I'm working on Clara's, which is a nonfiction, historical fiction character who is a lesbian who is hiding in plain sight in a world where homosexuality is considered a capital punishment. Before anybody ever gets bad at me because I am not considered a lesbian and I don't know their life, I have friends who are lesbians and they are giving me literally all of their information.
Well, and I mean, the whole point of being creative and making stuff up is that you're making stuff up.
Yes. Well, when it comes to historical fiction, for me,
true, historical you need.
But it's also the idea you're trying to make these characters as realistic and authentic as possible. So for me, when I'm telling a person that I am creating a character that is, we'll just make something up real quick. I do this literally. Here's the other thing that people need to understand. When I create characters, I roll dice to answer every question.
That's awesome.
Male, female, where they're from. I go back 3 generations too. So technically when I'm creating a character, I'm creating at least 3 generations of characters because of
wow.
Nurture versus nature.
Yes.
So in fact, let's do that right now. If you got time.
We got a couple minutes. We'll wrap it up with that. Let's do it. You got your dice there?
We'll make it easy. I'll make it easy for you. All right, so give me male or female.
Male.
All right. Fantasy, John. What type of genre do you want to go with?
Horror.
Hmm?
Horror.
Horror. Okay. Are we creating the? Are we creating what role are we creating?
Let's go with the bad guy.
All right, so we're going with villains. I love villains. They're so fun to play and so fun to actually create. Okay. Yeah. So what are we talking about? Are we young, middle, old?
Let's go with old. Nobody expects the old guy.
Oh, better. Okay. All right. So we have a villain in a horror genre who is, we'll say he's a priest. Okay. He comes in, he is considered a priest who is very honorable, very holy, comes in, treats everybody as nice and kind as possible, treats love, all this other stuff. But he also has the darker side of him that he doesn't like anybody harming any animal. He loves, that's one of the other things, love. Everything's love. So for him, we're going to be looking through his eyes. Okay. Real quick. A little bit of backstory. He grew up, he had a child, as a child, he had an animal, and he really loved that animal. He got bullied. The other children, boys and girls, decided to, because they didn't want his family, they decided to send a message killing his dog and in front of him, and then having the blood poured onto him.
No, I'm sad for him.
Yes, very sad. Very sad. And then during that time, he decided to, but because his dad was a preacher, he just turned his eyes. He turned away from it. He said, just love them anyways. Well, he kind of couldn't do that. And in his own way, he decided to, that little switch turn in his head and decided to create something a little bit more of a darker side in him that wanted to get revenge back for the animals because they couldn't defend themselves against so many people. So he's taken this way and over time and decided that anytime he sees any harm go to on any animal or poaching in ways that is not humane enough, he has taken it into his hands to do the same thing to the hunters.
Ooh,
so
I like this.
Everybody who harms an animal, doesn't matter if they're boy, girl, young, old, male, it doesn't matter. He will do the same thing to that human.
I like it.
So now consider this. Is he considered a villain or not because of what he believes in?
No, I'm on his side.
But everybody else in that story would think the guy's lunatic. He's crazy. He's killing people with no reason. They're just animals. We kill animals all the time. We eat animals.
That's true. We do.
So in his mind, he's avenging all the animals that were harmed inhumanely.
Yeah.
So
I'm on his side.
But that's what I mean. That's me too. But these are types of characters that I create. I look at the personalities. I look at the emotions, the interactions, the way people see them, the way that they see the world in a different way. So that's why when I listen to someone's story, I try to ask as many questions as possible of, okay, how can we make this connect properly, smoothly, without giving it away to the audience?
So. I love it. That is fantastic. And so where would people follow you if they wanted to see kind of what you're working on or just keep in touch?
So 2 places you can go to get all my links and everything that you ever want about me. If you go to my website, macgriffinvo.com, Griffin, V as in Victor, O as in Oscar.com. You can hear samples of my voiceover stuff for audiobooks as well as for commercials and anything else. Otherwise, you can see some of my writing as well as some things about my podcast, Beyond the Pen. And then you can go to my website, my podcast website, beyondthepenpodcast.com, and be introduced to all my lovely guests, authors that have been on there. The story of my podcast, real quick, is that we interview authors that are unknown or newly published to learn about them, their books, but most importantly, the story behind the story. That little area between the ink and the paper. That's what we answer.
So, I like that. That sounds fun.
Well, maybe I can have you there because you got a couple of books.
I think so.
I think we'll talk later.
Yeah. So again, thank you so much for being on the show. Everybody, those links of course, going to be down in the description below. So check them out. Stay up to date with what is happening. Go check out the podcast. Hit your follow or subscribe or whatever the heck button it tells you to hit, and do that.
Yes.
And thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for me here.
As always, thank you so much for the amazing guests that we have on the show. Be sure to check out their links down in the description below. If you want to support the channel, go ahead and check out our merch store. We've got some very cool things on there. That's my favorite. Sorry, I'm busy ending the stigma. But there's some other very cool designs. 10% of the proceeds always goes back to the Canadian Mental Health Association. Be sure to follow us on Facebook at RB Media because we have some great new shows coming up and you never want to miss any of those episodes. And remember, the only way to end the stigma of mental health is to speak openly and honestly. Bye!